Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Penny Lane Podcast with BOFO. Ellis joined me on this episode to co-host, and by the end of the episode, BOFO and I just became best friends. And now we're trading together. He convinced me to buy this huge sweatshirt that he trades in every day. I mean, really love this episode. And he's such a great trader, such a good friend. I hope you guys enjoy. This episode is brought to you by Pennies Going in Raw and Last Bottle Wines.
The stock market is hotter than ever right now, and traders are taking advantage. But what does that mean for the people who still haven't started trading? The market can be a little intimidating at first, but you don't have to be alone in the learning experience. We at the Pennies Going in Raw podcast are here to help you. I'm Dan, and with my co-host Hugh Henney, we make the stock market a fun but informative experience for our listeners. We offer knowledge for all levels of traders, from beginners to those who do it full time. On PGIR, we discuss up-to-date news about the stock market and interview other traders who all started out just like us and made it big. You'll hear from Hugh and other multi-millionaire traders, founders and CEOs of companies, FinTwit superstars, and even professional athletes. Have you ever thought about investing your hard-earned cash but don't know where to start? Do you have money just sitting in your savings account collecting dust? We were all there once too. Listen to Pennies Going in Raw on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, BOFO. Welcome to the Penny Lane Podcast.
Thanks for having me on.
Did I say your name right?
Yeah, it's BOFO.
BOFO. Perfect. Ellis, thanks for being here.
You always don't sound excited when you say, like, hey, thanks for being here. You never sound that excited.
Well, I'm pissed at you today for the Gucci robe situation.
I don't have a Gucci robe. It's Dior. It's different.
I mean, we can't be co-host if you're podcasting in a Dior robe and I'm in a Target t-shirt. It's not fair.
I'm wearing a Louis V sweatshirt, Gucci sandals, and a pair of Adidas shorts right now, so.
That's some swag.
Way to brand out.
We're balling. What do you mean? I had a great day. So, I haven't traded all week except today. I was just waiting for the 10-year to get over 2, and I just waited all day. Just full port short. It was glorious.
Now, did you start your new job?
No, I start Tuesday, so.
So you have not traded all week, and you're not working?
No, but I made more money today than I'll probably make in the next 6 months, so.
Okay, so what the hell are you doing with your time then?
It's important when you're young to build a resume and, develop skills and relationships. I mean, yeah, I can hang out with my internet friends all day.
That's like,
yeah. So, yeah. But I enjoy it.
Are you doing World of Warcraft or whatever it is?
Nah, I haven't played. I actually haven't really been playing video games. I've been waking up at 4 a.m. with anxiety to see if there's any runners, and then falling asleep at noon. So it's kind of, and then I've been going to the gym because I think I'm fat. So I've been doing 45 minutes of cardio in the morning, fasted, and.
Yeah. Well, this is all incredibly enlightening. Is your girlfriend still there?
Yeah. She's actually going to be here in probably an hour, so I ordered her tacos so she's not hungry waiting for me.
I feel like she and I could chat just about what it's like.
Well, we ever have a meetup, you'll meet her. She'll come, probably.
Oh, so I'll finally get to see what you look like.
Yeah, I know. BOFO, she texted me, I think it was Saturday. She's like, I think it's time... I know what you look like. And I was about to send her a picture, and I was like, nah, I'm going to wait.
Well, I'm on the verge of asking you to set up a LLC for me, and I'm like, I'm going to share my social security number with this man. I'd like to see his face. Oh.
I just hired my accountant, yesterday? So I'm not doing my own tax anymore. It takes too much time. So.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. My tax bill is aggressive, so I'm trying to... I send him all my research, and he confirms it with me. So,
I mean, you are balling out on this podcast. I'm
flexing a little bit too much.
You're a little extra.
I know. I'm actually in a really great mood today, just because, I think probably for 3 or 4 days, I was just kind of getting slaughtered in the chop. I'm not gonna lie. And then I kind of stepped away for a little bit and came back today, and I just felt very in flow with everything. So. Did
you see my day today? Do you think we're synced up?
You have a 4-figure day today, right? Oh!
Hell yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
You're allowed to brag, too. And I'm completely joking. I'm wearing a hoodie right now that says Commit Tax Fraud with Barney on it. Some slippers from Target. I actually don't flex like that. I just like to pretend to on the internet because it's funny.
Okay. Well, There we go. Bofo, how do you trade today?
Man, these past 2 days have been tough. And I've dug myself 2 enormous holes the past 2 days and dug back out of them the past 2 days. So I've ended basically break even the past 2 days, but they've been exhausting.
Isn't that just like you want to just take your head off your body and just feel like have a rest?
Yeah. Well, because I work full time. So, all the time I spent trading these past 2 days, it's like, well, could have been, catching up on work, getting ahead. Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
I always think of like all the productive, especially, if I'm not up really good by about 11, I know it's going to be one of those days where you just work all day and you're either red or even. And I'm like, I could just walk away and like do anything else productive. But I don't do it. But today I did quit at 11 because I hit that big goal.
Nice. Great job.
When's the Lambo coming? Did you order it yet?
Can you buy a Lambo for $1,000? If so.
Yeah, a little electric one for your kid.
We are so deep in the debt hole that doesn't even like fill in an ounce of that hole. But, something.
But you have to remember, it's a process, right? Your first 4-figure day, you'll remember for the rest of your life. And then you'll hit a 5-figure day, and you'll be like, oh, shit, That's how it all starts.
No, I've definitely had 4-figure days before. My biggest day ever was when we nailed that DBGI for $6,000.
We definitely didn't full port that one.
Full port, whole thing.
Yeah. Now, Bofo, do you work from home? Is that like your thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's really nice. That's what allowed me to start trading in the first place.
Okay. Are you going back to the office at any point?
No, when COVID happened, and so started working from home. It worked really well for me, so I just never went back in. But now I have a new job anyways. I started a new job in October, and my company doesn't even have an office location here, so this is where I'll work indefinitely.
Nice.
I see you smiling.
Yeah, no, it works out. It's nice.
Yeah, I go in the office 3 days a week, so a lot of time I'm mobile. But it's fine because I don't overtrade, right? So I kind of set my price alerts and just kind of wait. But I find when you sit in front of a screen for a long amount of time, sometimes you make less than spectacular decisions.
Yes, that's a real thing. Like exhausting your mental capital is very detrimental to your trading performance.
Totally. So tell us how you got started. Are you a COVID trader?
I'm a COVID trader. I also am an injury trader. I like right about the time that COVID hit, I had a really, really nasty wrist injury and I had to get surgery. So I had a lot of time to sit on my butt and didn't know much about the markets before that, but I had some friends that were into it. And, as soon as I took that first step in, it was just full send.
Yeah, did you go Robinhood?
Yeah, I was Robinhood at first.
There we go.
I remember a couple years ago, I bought Workhorse back when it was just like on a forum, like just a message board. And one day I was driving home from a project and I looked at my phone and it was up like, crazy where Trump tweeted something about EVs and the post office or whatever. And so I sold it and that was my first winner actually.
I think that was one of my very first, I remember Workhorse in Robinhood.
Yeah.
Robinhood was promoting Workhorse at the time. And I was like, cool name, gotta have it. And then it just kept going and going. And I was like, I am a genius.
It's so easy.
That's when I knew nothing about stocks. Nothing.
Yeah. I was on the read the morning brew, buy the recommendations game. The glory days.
You ever do the Daily Upside? You ever subscribe to them? It's similar to the Morning Brew.
No.
I don't know. I have a lot of buddies who are really into it. I think it's more catered to people more, I guess, younger, right? More millennial age. So it's similar to Morning Brew. I've never read it, so I have Twitter, so I get enough news and nonsense jammed into my brain daily. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't really like to know what's going on in the world so much. So.
Fair enough. You're not a news person?
No, if Walter Bloomberg doesn't tweet it, then I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
You ever notice that he's based out of Switzerland?
Mm-hmm.
You ever think maybe like someone came up with a theory that he actually like front loads all of his calls and like before he tweets out the news, like it's like an actually he's not a real person, it's like a bot that does it.
That makes complete sense to me.
Isn't
If
it
he
weird,
doesn't
though?
do that, then he's kind of an idiot, right?
I mean, I guess.
Like,
Well, because there's a delay
opportunity.
from a Bloomberg terminal to him, right? So I don't know. Tinfoil hat theory was something to think about. But I do love Walter.
All right. So you're in the Robin Hood. You got your workhorse winner. Where do we go from there?
So yeah, COVID and my injury, I learned about Thinkorswim, went down that rabbit hole, setting up my layouts. I joined, Atlas. I Googled who to follow on Twitter because I saw that people were making calls. So that's where I followed Zach Morris, Ultra, the guys with the big following. And then I started following Trading King Eric.
Okay.
And then I ended up joining his room, Royalty. And what a great decision that was, because that's where I met Fizz, Mikey, Herv, all the people that are still my homies today. So, from there, it's just been the grind, like drinking from a fire hose, learning curve the whole time.
Yep.
Now, what platform do you use now? Because I always see how you have that profit and loss graph. Is that Trade
Yeah.
Zero?
No, that's separate. That's Traderview. It's just a website that you can upload I use Thinkorswim still. You can upload your Thinkorswim export files to it, and it's how I journal and how I track my statistics.
So the reason that we decided to have you on is just because you're a real trader out there grinding, and you've had some ups and downs.
Mhm.
And that's so interesting. And if you follow me on Twitter, I'm sure you know how much I care about being honest about your journey. So I appreciate you coming on for that. And it sounds, well, I don't know if this is necessarily true, but I found that so much when I became like a moderator or admin or whatever, a department head in Mullins Trading Academy. It was like I was surrounded by these people who were all stars, and I kind of like got to hang with them, and then was just not performing at the same level that they were. And that in and of itself was a mental exhaustion.
Yeah. I've definitely had some ups and downs. I had early success when I started. With COVID, you couldn't lose pretty much. So I quickly, made 5-figure profits and having no idea what I was doing. Then by the end of 2020, I had lost those profits and about that much to the red. Then 2021, I made all of that back and 6-figure profits. And then after February, I lost all of that and even more than I lost the first time. So I think coming in that hot market, I learned a lot of bad habits, and I started thinking that I knew what I was doing when I really didn't at all. And by the time I stopped the bleeding, by the time I slowed the bleeding was like last summer. That's when I really started to realize that, like, okay, when you step in and trade every day, you're stepping on the court with LeBron James, like if I haven't prepared to that level or learned to that level, or if I'm not taking this as seriously as the successful traders, then how can I expect to have those results? So last summer is when I really started to take things seriously, really study all my trades, really study technical analysis, really hone in on a strategy. Because before that, I was doing options, I was doing swings, I was doing large caps, I was doing small caps, I was doing crypto, I was doing everything, and none of it well. So this summer, really honed in on small caps, really gravitated towards Mikey, really leaned on Herv, who's my number one mentor and best friend in this game. So then, my P&L curve started to bottom out. And now, so far we're green for 2021, just trying to make our way back up.
Whew, that sounds familiar.
Little cup and handle action on the P&L?
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
Well, more like there's not much of a cup or a handle yet.
I like to tell people I'm curling.
Yeah, you're curling.
Yeah, we're curling.
Yeah,
there we go.
He's
We're
crossing. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what do you mainly trade now? Are you strictly small caps?
No. I am small caps though. I mean, that's my number one. So I'm on the East Coast, and I wake up for that 7 a.m. bell for Thinkorswim, and I'm on voice and real ones with Mikey, and so we lead the gang on the small cap gappers and PM runners, and then I am looking for small caps into that first hour or two of the day. From there, I like to play the large caps and mid caps that I'm familiar with. I trade SPY. I want to trade Tesla, but I am not good at trading Tesla, so it's one of my rules to not trade Tesla right now.
Totally. Like Microsoft, right, Ellis?
Oh, I hate Microsoft. And Tesla's actually on my do not trade, even though I'm in puts right now, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Teslas do not trade for me. And I've broken that rule a little bit this year, and it's my losingest name of the year so far.
Sounds about right. So, everyone has one ticker,
Yeah, it's Tesla for me. And I don't want it to be Tesla. Tesla's so cool. I want to be able to trade Tesla.
All the cool option guys trade Tesla, right? It's like that's how you hit the 3,000 percenters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got some guys in our room that are so good at trading Tesla, and I'm just not one of them.
So how did you get from your first room into real ones? Or did you go by way of Atlas into real ones?
Because I met Fizz and Mikey and Herv and Royalty, when they made the shift into real ones, I went with them because those are my homies. I'm going to go where they go.
Right.
And like I said, in Royalty, that's where I started to observe Herv, and I saw how he traded on the floor and everything. And so I reached out to him one day by DM, and it's the best thing I've ever done for my trading career, because I was like, hey man, like I really like how you trade. I really want to emulate how you trade. Like, can we jump on a call? And we just hit it off. And he's been my trading mentor, and now we FaceTime almost every single day. So those guys have really, really brought me along. I don't think I'd still be trading without those guys.
Somebody said to me today on Twitter, I thought it was really poignant. I was talking about radio silent play taught me something just at like the exact right time. And somebody said to me, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like that really applies to what happened to you. Like, it's an interesting, the mentor-mentee relationship is interesting. It's not always a perfect fit, and that might not necessarily be a personality thing, but it could just be a timing thing. In singles and doubles, and I talk about that so much on the podcast, of someone could tell you something 100 times, and the 101st time you're ready to hear it.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I've thought about this. If I ever do like make it or reach some level of success or whatever, and I'm looking back on my career, I can already tell you a handful of things that happened that will be monumental to me. And you're exactly right. They are like timing driven.
Yeah.
Like I had a call with Real Simple Ariel. Okay, so last
my
August.
Favorite.
Yeah, I love Ariel.
I love him
so
much.
Last August, I don't know how I pulled this off, but I had 6 straight weeks of green. And what started that, like literally the beginning of that, was my call with Ariel. And Ariel could talk forever. We talked on the phone for like 2 hours, forever. He won't shut up.
Yeah.
And he was like, you got to quit trying to hit home runs. He was like, if you see $40 on the sidewalk and you walk past, like, are you just going to walk past it and leave it? And I'm like, no. He's like, okay, you're not too good for a $40 trade. If you're too good for a $40 trade, then F you. And he was like, and I want you to only buy red candles.
Oh, the red candle thing is brilliant. To this day, like, if I'm trying to find puts, I only will buy a green candle. Like, it's so simple, but it's so brilliant.
But I'll tell you what happened to me. That led me on this big green streak that I had. But what it turned me into was a washout trader. And so I knew this was going to bite me one day, because if you trade washouts, there's a tendency there, especially if you have a personality like me, to average down and average down and average down because you know that bounce is coming.
I don't know if I know what a washout is.
So it's when this thing waterfalls and you're basically playing a bounce.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I turned into after this. I was like, getting familiar with, at the time it was SPRT, which turned into GREE. There's a few others that were kind of in this like $10 to $20 range that just had really good range, really good volatility. And I kind of had this little strategy where I drew my lower trend lines on downtrends, and when they would like really wash out, I was playing these bounce scalps, and it was working for me. I was getting green, but I just knew one of these wasn't going to bounce one day. And that ended my green streak. I actually have a big long Twitter thread about it, and it's probably my most engaged with Twitter post, where to your point, being transparent is a big important thing for me in my career too. I was like, hey, you guys have been following my green streak. Like, I unwound in a dramatic fashion. I basically I gave back like almost all of those profits in one day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because a name did not bounce, and I kept averaging down, and I got wrecked. I refused to be wrong. And that's something I still struggle with today. Like, I don't bag hold anymore today, but I will try again and again and again. Yeah, but it's the same demon, just with a different mask on.
Yeah.
So
isn't it just incredible what the market teaches you about yourself, things you didn't ask to know? Like, I would be fine my whole life not having to know that I was really greedy. What a terrible thing. What a terrible thing to know about yourself.
It's almost, I think you really break down the kind of like what humans are, right? Every human wants like 1,000% ripper, or people hate being wrong. It's just how we're hardwired, and trading, I think, kind of frazzles those wires a little bit, and then once you plug them right into the right sockets, you're good to go.
Yeah, I think it's so when I had my one-on-one with Ariel, he talked to me a lot about like buying the red candles, buying the EMAs, waiting for the EMAs to get tight, waiting for those EMAs to cross. He didn't teach me this strategy. Did he teach you this strategy?
No,
okay.
No. It just happened to me because I was buying red candles, and so like, let me buy the biggest red candles.
Okay.
No, but I did kind of formulate my own strategy. I kind of had this, to me, it was like almost this rubber band strategy. It was like, I'm waiting for it to like really, Fizz calls them catcher's mitt trades. It's like the Max Payne bottom, and you buy the bounce. And that's essentially what I was doing. But some of these, they don't bounce. I remember it was INDP, and it was on September 15th. That thing just went down and down and down and down with no relief, and I got wrecked. And I was going into surgery, and I refused to lose my green streak. And so I'm like trying to trade from my phone. Another big no-no that I don't do anymore. I do not trade from my phone.
Great rule.
Yeah, and I just averaged up, and I started to not have service in the hospital I went to, and it got nasty for me.
Well, I'm sorry you had to go through
Ariel
that.
didn't teach me that.
Yeah, that's a terrible way to go. It's like everything that could go wrong went wrong all at once. You're about to go under.
Yes, and I feel like that happens to me a lot.
Oh, don't say that.
Totally. I recently got out of a massive hole by just saying, like, I never get lucky. never. Like, it is like
Right?
the worst way this could possibly end. It always ends. And it was on DWAC. And I was just like, Blayne, like, I think you're going to get lucky here. Like, I know DWAC pretty well. I know it just does those, like, massive rips and then it'll knife down. And I'm like, I'm owed one. And I got my, like, one lucky trade. Haven't been lucky since. But
How about DWAC the other day?
Yeah.
How many people do you think got destroyed by that candle when they said
On
they're
that
moving
night?
it?
A lot.
I'm off DWAC now. She's hurt me too many times.
It's a hard name to trade. I mean, if you're doing commons, you're probably okay, but the options on it are so spready and kind of gross.
It's nasty.
Man, commons are tough too. It's so much. It's got so much more range than I realize. Like, I always end up taking more size than I mean to for how much it moves.
Yeah. Which, if it goes in your
It's a tough
direction,
one.
that's great.
Yeah, but that never happens to me because I never get lucky.
It's interesting what you said about the catch remit trades. That's just so opposite of how I trade. Is that an RSI thing?
No, it's not. And okay, I don't want to be on here promoting that because after I had that major fail, right, which I knew in my gut was coming one day because of the way that I mean, if you think about it, you're going long on a downtrend. You're fighting trend. Like, that is inherently not the kind of trader that I knew I needed to be or wanted to be. So when that happened, I kind of had like a come to Jesus moment. And that's when I was like, okay, no, this strategy's not good. I need one where I'm going long on bullish trends.
Right.
You know?
Trend is your friend, if you will.
Exactly. Right. So that's when I really started hanging out with Mikey Underdog.
Yeah. God, that
And,
energy. It's just infectious.
That energy, yeah. And he's in Japan, so he's always up when I'm up, and like it's me and him in the morning. So he's my homie. I spent a ton of time with him. I do every stream with him. I review so many trades with him, so many charts with him. And so now that's more of the trader that I am now. I've gotten I've gotten a lot better at that strategy and found success with that strategy.
Now, is he still doing the flags and level breaks?
He is, but this market has been very challenging for
no
that.
shit.
And he's started to he's
Surprise.
He's starting to evolve though. So he's had some success in this market, but we've had to redefine what those setups look like. They're not the beautiful flags that we used to have. I mean, you'll get a handful a day maybe if you're on the right name, but this is really, really making us dig into these daily charts and find those really good daily levels, and find charts that are holding those daily levels for a next leg up, but they're not going to look as pretty as they sometimes do.
Some of his charts are just like, that is like the perfect trade. Like, when he really pulls out a good flag chart, I'm like, if every freaking chart was like this, I would be a billionaire.
He's so good. He is so good.
Now, I thought I saw, I'm afraid to say this on the podcast because he's come on and he's my friend, and I don't want to say anything. So if this is wrong, Joel, take it out. I thought I saw on Twitter that he had been struggling a little bit. Is that true, or?
Oh, struggling for Mikey's standards.
Okay.
Yeah, like struggling for Mikey is not making bukus of cash, which January was tough for him. I mean, he started out, so a lot of those guys reset their accounts to start the new year and went back to a small account to build it back up. And when he did that, it kind of got in his head. And so, I mean, straight out the gates, he was kind of chopping around a little bit, but that's when he started studying his setups and started, looking at, hey, what is working in this market. And now he's, same old Mikey.
Great. I'm love to hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like a random tweet that I saw, and he said something about he'd been struggling, and I was like, I don't want you can't struggle. You're a pillar.
Well, struggle for him, it means something different than struggle for me.
Isn't it funny though how you kind of look at those people who you look up to, and like if they're struggling, you're like, no, you're not allowed to do that.
You can't struggle.
You?
Right.
Out of all people? No.
Yeah.
Speaking of flags, I just think I gotta interject this here to Ellis. Ellis, I'm in Shark's room, and my name there, I'm like Penny Lane everywhere on Discord, but he uses Slack, and so my name there is Pinnifer Sharkington.
Nice.
Because you have to have shark in your name, and everyone was calling me Pinnifer. So it's like Jennifer Aniston. So it's like Jennifer Aniston, but with Penny and shark in there. Anyway, that's my name. And then I just changed my name to Pinnifer I Love Bear Flags. Sharkiston or whatever. I've been so into bear flags recently. That's like the pillar of all my success.
Yeah. The real one boys are playing too.
Gosh.
I study their setups all the time.
If you haven't learned how to short in this market, then you probably haven't survived. And that's been the real blessing. I think we'll look back on this market and realize so many things that we've learned and that will make us better traders when the market does evolve.
I think there's more opportunities, right? You look at things differently. Like I always struggled being a short-sided trader, right? Because market only goes up, SPY going to 500. But nowadays, like if there's no range, like I'm just going to sit out. It's okay to take a couple of days off. But when there is a really pretty setup, like Tesla's setting up right now, I'm gonna hit it, whether it goes up or down. I'm just gonna wait. It teaches you how to be much more patient than last year, where just slap everything, it goes up. It's hard.
Yeah, I'm really liking putts. I mean, it's boring.
Especially today.
We
hit the pre-market high, and then we have not made another high. Like we just immediately went straight down. It's insane.
I made 3 QQQ trades today. 1 call and 2 putts, and I was like, who am I?
You're a monster. Now, Bofo, do you short? You do.
I do. I'm probably 50-50 in this market. I only trade on Thinkorswim. I do have a small TZ account if I need to locate shares, but I only threw the base like $2,500 in there, so it's under PDT. So I'm very selective on which ones I take with that one. But if there's stocks that are hard to borrow on Thinkorswim, like boom, I love it because I'm going to play it both ways.
Yeah, everyone loves now. Is TZ good for long too? Like, do people use it for long? I feel like it's only like I know IU and I know Thiz uses it and all them. Thiz is one of my boys too, so.
Yeah. And Thiz is mostly a bear. Fappy uses TZ for everything.
Yeah, Thiz is a bear, dude. He gets attacked on Twitter daily.
I like it.
Yeah, which I don't understand. Yeah. I don't understand why bears get attacked. I mean, we need them. We need them to drive our plays up for longs,
Now, you mentioned that you track your statistics. When did you start journaling? Did you start right off the get-go, or is that something that you and Mikey discuss, or you and Ariel?
I think Herv actually turned me on to it, but then, where did I learn about this? I think Herv might have told me about it, but there's a really cool feature in there where you can add a mentor. And so Herv and I are linked up on Traderview. So what that allowed me to do was go in and look at all of his trade executions. And so I was able to see like, wow, he's really finicky with his position on this. He does not let this go against him at all. And this is another like learning moment for me that I took away with what Herv said. He was like, yeah, I mean, if I'm buying a stock, I, in my mind, am buying it at the exact best place to buy it. So if it starts going against me at all, I just cut it, because I was wrong. So like that's a great mentality to not hold a bag, not let stuff go against you at all, and to be patient for that entry.
You know who else does that is Esk Trading, and she's a monster. Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite things I've ever learned from her, or in general.
I love. Is it S?
Yeah. Does she actually say
Esquire,
right?
Oh, okay, I've always said ESQ.
She's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Ah, that makes sense. I've just always said ESQ.
When I went to interview her, I had to ask her. I was like, "Do you want me to say ESQ this whole interview?" And she was like, "Just say ask." I was like, "Of course."
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, when you reviewed those trades, did you? So the biggest thing that you noticed was just the amount of patience that he has on his perfect entry. He's not just kind of slapping stuff around and.
No, he's meticulous about where he's buying, and he defends that entry.
What do you mean he defends it?
Like being defensive. he defends that average. So like if like I said, if it comes down to a place where he thinks is a good entry, he's buying there, but he's not letting it go against him at all. Like it needs to start moving up from that entry or he cuts it, because if it moves against where he was, then he was wrong. Now, obviously that's an oversimplification,
Sure.
right? But what I mean is he's not like buying at $83 and giving it down to $82.50 or on something. You know what I mean? Like these small caps that we trade, and we are micro time frame traders, so we're playing scalps and smaller, movements. Those are not ones that you let go against you. You're buying on specific indicator levels, daily levels, whatever it is, and you want it to stay pretty close to that. So, I mean, when I say defending that average, it's like, you want to see price move up from your average pretty quickly if you're going long.
Do you know what time frame he uses? I'm sure you do.
We pretty much all use the 1 and the 5.
Oh, interesting.
Simultaneously.
Interesting. You could go for the 3. It's very hip right now. Very hip.
Yeah, but that's not what I've studied.
Yeah.
All of my studying has been on the 1 and the 5.
Yeah, I'm sort of just kidding. It just is.
Yeah, I heard you talking with 100 million,
102 million
about
but
that.
People are the 3's the new hipster time frame.
I thought it was a 2-minute. That was the wave, right?
Whatever.
2-minute. What about the 400? What about the
2-minute.
65-minute chart? You guys use that?
No, but were you on, Ellis, when we I don't think you were on when we interviewed the guy from the Strat.
No. Everyone talks about the strat though, and I have no idea what it means.
That you should listen to the episode. It's fascinating.
Irrational exuberance?
When it comes to killer wine at drastically low prices,
30 to 70% off retail and free shipping.
we live for that here at Last Bottle Wines. Whether you went long or short on GameStop, you'll need a glass of something terrifically tasty.
And we've got the goods.
Last Bottle is a daily wine site based in Napa, California,
One wine every day.
at Black Swan event prices.
Usually 30 to 70% off.
Until poof, it's gone. Whether you're a pound the table type
Think ultra crisp, quaffable Sauvignon Blanc,
or a dividend aristocrat,
Burgundy, or Napa Cab.
there simply is no better place to buy wine on the web.
And they always have free shipping.
Last Bottle has a deal just for Penny Lane listeners. Use promo code PENNY
That's PENNY.
to save 10% off your next order with Last Bottle.
The code is good for one order and one order only, and it expires March 11th, 2022.
So head over to lastbottlewines.com today. That's lastbottlewines.com.
People do all kinds of crazy stuff, especially the futures traders. They have like these crazy charts that look like hieroglyphics painted on a pyramid. Like, I just use a 5-minute VWAP, man. Like, that's where I'm at. And a daily chart with my MAs, and that's really about it.
I don't think any of it matters. It doesn't matter which EMAs you use. It doesn't matter which time frames you use. Just be consistent. Just study the same thing. Like, I think people that try to jump around and change stuff, that's what really gets you in
I
trouble.
think that's right.
I think you're 100% right. So many people think, if I just use rips or clouds, or if I just use this, I didn't learn on those, so I'm not going to start using them now. Now I do some testing on some new strategies and stuff like that. Today I learned what an Adam Eve pattern is. Do you know what that is? Any of you guys ever hear of it? Yeah, it's
No
like
idea.
a cup and handle, but like not. I don't know. Someone was explaining to me, and I was like, I'm never going to recognize that, ever. So, but it was interesting to learn.
As far as what you're saying about you learned on that, and that's I think the time frame is right, but I have learned Brad's method, which was taught to me by my friend AC, which is the 9, the 20, the 50, the 200. That's all I used forever and ever and ever. And then, as I said on Twitter, I just had Shark help me revamp my whole trading system. And now I have 2 styles. I have that style, and then I have another one with a hull wave and Ripster's Clouds. And they're similar, right? It's almost the same way of trading, but it is a little bit different. And it has been absolutely game changing for me. I'm not someone who tried every single style for a week and then was like, fuck it, this isn't working. Next. I never did that. I stuck with it, and then tweaked something, and it's incredible to me. So anyway, just slightly different side to what you were saying, Ellis, but
Yeah, no, that's good. At least you stick with it. I know too many people jump around too much, and I think it leads to confusion. Now, what do you use, BOFO? Like,
Yeah.
what's kind of your go-to? Where do you buy? What are you looking for?
Yeah. I use
Yep.
the 8, the 20, the 50, the 200. But really, I'm trading the
Okay.
8 and the 20 and VWAP. You know, if you guys have heard Mikey talk about his strategy, the 80 MA on the 5-minute is
Oh, yeah.
big deal for us. So that's what I'm mostly tracking. And then if I'm looking at like large caps for calls and puts and things, like I pay much more attention to the 20. But on small caps, I'm not paying quite as much attention to the 20.
Cool.
But yeah, I like those flags. I like low volume pullbacks to daily levels that I've charted. I like to see. I know you guys are talking about the word confluence. We say confluence all the time too. I like confluence of trend lines, indicators, daily levels,
Love
etc.
confluence.
My new word is
lots of
capitulation,
confluence.
right? Am I saying that right? That's my new favorite
Yeah,
word.
yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I know what that means.
The capitulation bounce. It's like the selling that comes when people are in panic mode, right? Like capitulation.
It's normally kind of low volume. It's really just you kind of look at it and you go, okay, this is gonna bounce. It's like everyone sees
that's
the
a
same
useful
level.
word.
Yeah, it's one of the one of my mentors taught me that along. He's also the one that taught me about the Adam and Eve today, and I have to study it later. But so
Is it
interesting.
Mitch?
No. So I've been Mitch is going to LA right now, so I talked to him earlier today. Living the life. But I've been trading with a lot of guys who are like 50, 55 years old, have been trading for 15, 20 years. And just the way they view the market is so interesting to me. Like we sit on voice chat in the morning and like they're just so calm. Just another day, they call it stacking sandwiches. That's what they call it. Yeah, maybe a few hundred there, stacking sandwiches. And I'm sitting there like, how did you even see that? But it's just interesting. They've been doing it for 15 years.
I've been
Could you
trading
imagine?
a little bit with the Wolf of Weed Street, and he calls it pizza by the slice.
Yep.
I really like it.
Yeah. I taught them how to scalp SPY options, like which ones to look for. So like they'll tell me what they see, and they ask like, hey, what contract should I buy if this happens? And I tell them, and they're like, oh, this is pretty easy. I'm like, because you have like 2 decades of TA and experience.
Yeah, right.
But it's awesome. I think to your point, BOFO, having a mentor is the biggest help. And
oh my gosh, it's
like you
such
were
a
ready.
big deal, and just
Exactly.
community in general.
Now, do you think?
And I don't.
Do you think like?
Go ahead.
I want to call it your degen phase, right? Where everyone's making money like left and right. Do you think if you reached out to Mikey or Herv at the same time, you would have really soaked up as much knowledge? If that makes sense. Or do you think they knew you were hustling and you were hustling at the same time? It just kind of worked.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's important for people to reach out to mentors, but I think it's important to make sure you're ready to reach out to a mentor, because if someone that's mentor worthy, you don't want to waste their time. They're not just going to give you their strategy. They're not going to make you a good trader. So it's important, and it was important to me, like when I reached out to Herv, I told him what I liked about his strategy that I had been studying, why I was reaching out to him specifically, and hey, could you be on a call with me? I'm going to have specific questions set up. All you have to do is show up. That's kind of the way I put it to him. And, fortunately, because Herv is kind of a reserved guy, especially back then. He wasn't,
he's still quiet guy.
He didn't have any public prominence at all. Yeah, he's still quiet. So, but I had no idea if we were going to get along or not. But we did. We had a great call. We talked about life too, and that's always fun. But the doors that Herv has opened for me and introductions that he's made for me to other people has been enormous, and I've ridden his coattails all the way into real ones where I've gotten so tight with everybody else. And, that's how I'm tight with Mikey and Thiz and everybody else too. So Herv's my boy. I can't thank Herv enough for everything.
And I
love that so much.
I really like how you kind of went to him and you like had everything detailed out. Like, hey, here's the questions. Here's what I like about you. Like, do you have time? It shows that you did your homework, because a lot of people I know like reach out to some of my friends or me or anyone, and like it's just kind of like, hey, can you teach me how to trade? I'm like, okay, where do you want to start? Like, what I'm saying? Oh, you want to talk about when I first started, where I lost all my money? Sure, we could talk about that. But it seems to me that you almost had a bit of a direction, and you seem very.
People have asked me if I can teach them how to trade. I'm like, no, No.
Yeah, like,
but like
how I opted.
But they don't
I'm
ask me anything like specific. They're like, "Hey, can you teach me how to trade?" I'm like, I can barely like feed my children. Teach you how to trade.
But now, to your point, Blayne, now you have the podcast. Now, how many doors is the podcast open to you to talk to? Like,
This is a bold statement, but I'm not sure if there is like an active popular trader on Twitter today that I couldn't get in touch with if I like really wanted to.
Yeah. It's funny how small the community gets once you get oriented in it, you know? I mean, most people kind of know most people at this point, seems like, which is kind of fun. I've really enjoyed
we're a big
the
high
FinTwit
school,
community
and we also fight like we're in high school too. It's like, yo, meet me in a cafeteria at noon. Dude, I'm gonna slam this tray over your head. Like, yo, relax.
Yeah. Which I hate that people have beef with each other, but I do kind of like grab my popcorn and enjoy the drama sometimes, you know?
It's like, I just crashed my third Lambo. What'd you do this week? But like, oh, you're a paper trader. I'm just sitting there like, guys, we're just trading stocks behind a computer all day. You know?
Yeah.
But I also think it's someone like the male mentality, right? Like, Bofo, you probably have friends just like me who are like very like ego-driven, like, oh, I'm the best. I'm like, hey man, I just want to put food on the table, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I struggled so long and I'm still having, you know, difficulty getting over the hump in my career that like that still resonates with me. And so that's when I look at real ones and all the people in there, like, you know, that's kind of where my heart's at. Like that's what I'm kind of always thinking about. And, you know, so for a long time I did after hours chats where I would just go over my trades at the end of the day. I'd share my screen, I'd go over my trades. We'd jump on voice. Anyone was allowed to chime in, and we'd just go over technical analysis, go over why I took this or what I screwed up about this or whatever. And I think that was really great. And I think that's where most people are. And the only bad thing about FinTwit is like it doesn't paint a realistic reality about, you know, where most traders that we're hanging out with every day are. Like, you know, if you follow all the big ones that are worth following, like they are all successful and they're all posting big gains and success and everything, and it makes you feel like you should be there or you suck. And that's not really true.
You know,
they don't talk about the sadness and the dark times.
Who you remind me of so much, and if you don't know him, you should get to know him. His name's Tyson. He's kind of everywhere.
No, I'm not familiar.
Might introduce you guys. He does the same thing. He'll just go on after hours and go over his trades, or he'll like make us pick a random day in the past, and then he'll go and like chart spy, and he's just very like dedicated, and he works really hard, and he shows up every morning with a good attitude, even though like sometimes he leaves with his tail between his legs. Like he'll like make a big swing sometimes and it won't go well, but he's just a grinder. And I also had dinner with an Olympian. Those who listen to the podcast have already heard this story. You may have already heard the story, but I had dinner with an Olympian recently, and he is now a coach, like mogul skiing coach. And he said to me, like, athletes don't win gold medals. Competitors, like great competitors, are the ones that win the gold medals. And the way they win those gold medals is by being so harsh on what they are not good at. Because it's easy as an athlete to just practice over and over and over the things you're good at. That's easy. But the like more you focus on your weakness, the stronger you become. And I like that on this interview. I do this sometimes. Like, you know, people will say, "What'd you do wrong today, Blayne?" And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, I did some, but I don't want to talk about it. But you're like, I really like how you know what you've done wrong. You're journaling, you're going over it, you're looking at how you could have done it better. That all to me points like very much like you are going to be successful because you're not lying to yourself. And I'm saying that as a person who sometimes lies to themselves. Like I'm very, very impressed with how honest you are about where you are.
Yeah, I think in my own self-reflections, I've realized that I'm not a natural born talent
Well,
in
no one
trading.
is.
This, well, it does feel like some people are. Like I look at someone like Thiz, and that dude, like he's literally never been consistent. Like some people, like I'm really fortunate that I get to trade with some of these guys that I consider prodigies
Sure.
in this game. It makes me feel bad that I'm not up to that standard, and it's taken me longer to you know catch up to things. But I think I've just had to look at myself in the mirror and realize, hey, like I wasn't born with like natural trading abilities. There are things about my makeup and my personality that make certain hurdles in my trading career especially difficult to overcome. And but I do agree with you that I do show up every day. I am very self-aware about what I'm doing wrong. Even if I repeat those mistakes maybe too many times, I'm documenting them, I'm getting slightly better at them. And if I continue at this grind and just continue to work through it, eventually that curve is going to curl and curl and curl and curl. And small improvements are all we need to do. You know, if we reach that equilibrium, me and you, Blayne, if we reach that equilibrium, little improvements are going to take us up and
Totally.
up and up. And so, you know, it's hard to not be impatient in this game. You know, I've been doing this, what, 2 years? That's
Nope.
really
Right.
not that long. It feels like forever to me, but it's really not that long. So if I'm, you know, starting to round the corner a little bit now, you know, 2 years is going to feel like nothing in
Absolutely.
10 years,
Absolutely.
you know? So I don't know. I don't have to be the very best.
Yeah, you do. Come on.
But I'm really glad I'm surrounded by people. But I'm really glad I'm surrounded by people that are the very best in my opinion. I mean, they're so good. The guys I get to trade with are so
That was
good.
really
You're
well
so
put.
humble.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I'm like continually impressed by you during this podcast.
Absolutely.
I have no doubt you're going to be amazing. And I,
Well, thank you for saying that. I
no,
hope
you
you're
know
right.
she's right. Come on, mindset.
yeah,
Yeah, Thiz preaches that to me all
Yeah.
the time, like manifesting, you know, and Fappy does it too. I mean, those guys, like, I don't really trade the same way as they do, but in terms of like, you know, mentality mentors, I mean, absolutely, they're
For
that for
sure.
me.
It's interesting you mentioned that too, because yeah, you and Thiz don't say, let's say, trade the same setups. You can still learn something from him about how he shows up every day, ready to trade. So
yeah,
Oh my gosh, I learn from that guy
he's a
every
hustler
single
too.
day.
He's just like you. I mean, he spent, comes from nothing, just decided, hey, I think he sold his car to start
Mhm.
trading. I'm pretty sure, and he just
Yeah, dude, that guy's story. Oh my gosh, his story and Mikey's story. Like the fact that those guys came from literally nothing and have become what they are and become so successful it blows my mind. I mean, it absolutely blows my mind. You know?
all you gotta do is show up. So I
Love it.
tell people all the time, if you show up, pay attention, you learn something new every day, you're gonna make it. It's
Yeah. Well, this is very hard. Trading is very, very hard. It's very stressful. Like it's funny. My girlfriend, when we were first dating, like she was talking about anxiety or whatever and stress, and I was like, well, anxiety, like, can't you just kind of like fix whatever it is that's giving you anxiety and then you won't have anxiety? And she was like, it doesn't work like that. And she's like, I'm really grateful that you've never had anxiety and you don't have to deal with this because it's not how it works. Well, lo and behold, going through what I have with grinding my career, trying so hard in the market, you know, losing a significant amount of wealth in the market, I got anxiety eventually. And I then understood. She's like, I hate that you have anxiety, but I'm kind of glad you
Yeah.
understand, you know, because it's not like, oh, I can just like go fix this and shake it off. I mean, there are some
yeah.
dark, dark days when you're a trader, you know, and if you don't have a community around you, and that's mentors, but it's also peers. If you don't have those people that are going to pick you up off the mat when you're down, I don't know how you could do this. I mean, I'm as passionate about this as anything I've ever been in my life. And still, if I didn't have those people supporting me, I couldn't do it.
absolutely.
I couldn't.
People don't talk about the dark days. I mean, I remember times like when I had like a really bad day with my buddies, just like a text, like, "Hey man, like, you all right? Like, let's wake up tomorrow and crush it." And it kind of, you can see the spark kind of get back in their eyes. It's like, okay, we're ready to show up again.
Yeah, man, I've had some pretty massive elevator down days, and when you've ground with consistency for a while and then you give it all back at once, which has happened to me multiple times, um, it's tough.
Absolutely.
It's tough to stomach. You need some
Another
support.
compliment I'm going to give you is just how much gratitude you have.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm so grateful to be where I am. I mean, all I've done is just show up, and I've tried a couple things here and there, and oh my gosh, Rocket kept catching Bob, Deb, Fappy, Thiz, Herv, Mikey, Zen, everyone's just embraced me. This is like my family. These are my best friends now. Like, when COVID happened, all my like real life friends, they
Yeah.
all had kids, and now they don't hang out with me. So now, like, these guys are absolutely my
Yep.
best friends. I spend the
Totally.
most time with them. I haven't even met them face to face,
Yeah.
but they're my best
I
friends.
saw someone talk about that the other day. It's like how like
I think it was me and my mom.
was it?
Wasn't it?
Someone.
Yeah, told I was like, Mom, I'm just really lonely, like because of COVID. And she was like, well, Blayne, at least you have your trading friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're right.
I talk about trading friends
I
all the
do
time.
have
Like
my
even like
trading
if I'm not
friends.
super active, like I don't know, we still talk about stuff. Like Barn and I were talking about taxes yesterday because we're both accountants. So I'm like trying to scheme with him on my taxes, and he's like, "Oh, man, that makes sense." I'm like, "Cool, all right."
Bofo, how old are you?
I'm 33.
Damn.
Oh.
I feel old compared to some of these guys
No, you're probably in the
that I trade
you're
with.
probably in the
Uh,
average,
but I'm
right?
young.
I feel like most traders
Yeah,
are probably
I'm
like
young.
30, right? In their 30s.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when we're saying most traders, right? Like
Young.
we're talking about
Most young. Yeah.
most traders that hang out with us on
Yeah.
these discords, right? I mean, like we're probably still like a select demographic of the type of traders that we are that choose to be active on Twitter and be in these discords and
There are
day
some
trade
young
like we do.
guns. I'm trying to think.
Not me.
Oh yeah.
I'm jealous
yeah.
that you're
All those
doing
guys
this
are-
at 33. Like I had to quit drinking because I couldn't learn think or swim. It's a true story. My brain just like I was like having a drink or two every night, and then I was just like I can't learn something new. So then I had to quit drinking.
Oh, Blayne, do you want to talk about
Yes. Where is
yes,
it? I have
yeah.
it right here.
habit tracker?
I did want to talk about that. I really like that. I need to get one of those.
Wait, I did
Okay.
have it right here. But yes, let's
Yeah,
talk
you
about
do.
it.
Okay, so here's how it came about. I'm like an all-in or
me
all-out
too.
person, and I think that's kind of it can be a bad thing when it comes to trading because like when you think about your disciplines, right? If you're undisciplined for one trading day, that's all it takes to blow up an account, right? Like you can be disciplined for a month, and if you're undisciplined for one day, you can blow up a trading account. And so when it comes to diets or when it comes to, you name it in life, it's like, okay, if I have a cheat meal, I'm having a full on cheat day and I'm eating as much junk as I can and I'll drink, whatever. If you have that mentality about trading, you are screwed. So, coming into the new year, I really wanted to put 2021 behind me. Very difficult year, not good for the P&L. I wanted to come in fresh, have a really nice, consistent green 2022. And so I started kind of reflecting and being like, okay, what if I strive for discipline in every area of my life, and maybe that will just bleed over into my trading and kind of maintain this consistency everywhere. So I've always been kind of a New Year's resolution person. It's worked for me in the past. It's when I've always done my diets and always gotten in good shape again. And I was like, okay, I'm healthy again. My injuries healed up. I'm going to kill it this year trading. Like this is the time to do it. So I was talking to my girlfriend and I was like, you know what? When I was little, I had this thing on the fridge that my parents would do where if I like did this thing or accomplished this thing, they'd put a star
Totally.
sticker on it. And so I was like, I wonder if there's something like that I could use. So I went on Amazon and started searching and I found this little habit tracker wheel thing. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'll get this. So I ordered it and I got green and red markers, just like the, green days, red trades, red trades. and I put all my daily
so I
goals
can't
in
see
here. And
on your. Can you tell us a couple
Yeah, you
of
can
your?
name that.
yeah. All right, so this is my January. I have workout. I have drink 100+ ounces of water. I have no alcohol, no cheats on my diet, stretch, green day, no shameful trades, and in bed by 10
love
p.m.
it. I love it.
That's
I love
discipline.
it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So, and it was great. I mean, January is really hard, but I didn't make crazy profits, but I was
We're
a
curling.
trader. I was happy with how I traded in January. Yeah. Okay. I was green. So look at this. Here's
Okay.
last week.
Okay.
I had a bad week
Okay.
last week. I ended up getting sick. I had first of all, I had a really poor trading day last week, Monday. That kind of got me stressed out. I got behind on work. I got behind on sleep, and like everything just kind of unraveled. And I also had a terrible trading week by the end of the week. And by Friday, I was fighting Snapchat trying to find the top, and I just like got to this place where I almost didn't care
Totally.
anymore. And it was like, oh, my disciplines are slipping, and like,
Yeah. It's
I could
dangerous.
get in big trouble here. Yeah, it is dangerous. And I gave back profits. I had a red week last week, and it was a big reminder that, if you start to sacrifice your disciplines on, even this stuff outside of trading, how much it affects you in your trading. And I had a call with someone a couple of weeks ago about her trading. She was struggling in some specific ways. And she was like, yeah, I bought this day trade in my swing account. And I was like, you can't do that. Like, even if that trade works, if you break that rule, then why wouldn't you break the next rule? If you break any of your rules, you will break the next
Waterfall
rule.
effect.
That's how this works. You have to be yes, you have to be fully disciplined. So this has
I
been a
love
fun
it.
little tool. It's been good. It's a little barometer for how you're doing across the board.
Where is? Oh, it's right there. I see it. I haven't started it yet. I've taken on a lot of new, things as of late. But I ordered the thing. I am gonna start it. I absolutely love it. I know that the more disciplined I am in my life, the better I trade. I did this thing. It took me 2 days to tell Shark that I did this. I was so terrible that I did this, but I don't know if you guys look at my P&Ls. I don't want to assume that you do, but last week I lost $800 one day. And the way I have I'm almost finished. A very strict rule, very strict, that every trade I take can cost $500, or they're options. So like in the neighborhood of $500. And then the maximum amount I can lose on that trade is $150. And I've been following it like so hardcore about it. And last week I bought a swing in that account and knew that the swing was going to take a couple of days. And I just watched it like bleed and bleed and bleed. And then I was like, well, I can make up this money. And then I got in trying to crawl. So I'd make like $200 and that stock would drop 300. And I was just like, I can't. Why I didn't sell it? Because I was like, I'll get paid back. I mean, it was horrible. I will never, ever do it again.
Yeah.
And then I had to go on freaking Twitter and post that I lost $800. And I couldn't be like, well, it wasn't really me. It was the swing, because I don't play that game. Like, I'm a day trader. And then I had to call Shark and be like, I did a thing. I mean, it was the worst sin I could possibly confess.
So you got in trouble by your mom. It's like,
whatever.
Mom, no, it's not what it looks like. Like, nope,
Yeah.
definitely is.
I know. That's a big thing, though. I responded to your tweet the other day, and I was like, my goal is to take trades that I would be proud to show Mikey and Herv. Like wanting to or having to like come and show poorer trades to people you respect is such a big deal. Like you do not want to do that.
And I didn't want to tell him, and he has put in hours with me. And then for me to be like, I just learned this way, like why?
Did you hear the disappointment in his voice though?
I mean, I like at the end of the call, I mean, he was like, oh, like he wasn't thrilled. And then at the end of the voice, I was like, if you don't get off this call by saying that you're still proud of me and still think I can do this, then I like can't continue. And he was like, it's not life and death. Like, well, it's okay.
Now, a question about your your
tough.
map. Now, do you notice that it helps you like even like in your everyday life, not just trading? Because I think that level of discipline, I would say I'm pretty disciplined. At least that's what my girlfriend tells me. Now, do you think just kind of tracking and doing a pulse check of where you are has helped you just in everyday life? Do you have better sleep, better like clear mind? Are you more productive?
Yes, and so I mentioned my injury. Like I'm a big CrossFit person. Like my physical activity has always been very, very important to me. And I had a really bad wrist injury. I got better from it, and then I had another thumb injury, like basically right when I got better. And so the past 2 years have just been surgery and recovery for me. And so coming into this year, it was a big deal. Like, okay, I've got to get my diet in check. I've got to get, my life back on the rails. I just felt like everything was falling apart at once. But yeah, I mean, with that comes a lot of brain clarity. I obviously want to be like healthy just for my heart and my well-being too. And I think, yeah, absolutely. I mean, besides trading, like, yeah, I want trading to improve, but besides trading, I mean, these are the ways that I've got to get back on my shit. Anyways.
COVID,
and you do that one bite at a time, one day at a time.
Just did something, I feel like, to all of us as a nation. Like, that's a huge reason why I had to quit drinking is I didn't really like drink that much really prior to COVID, and COVID just normalized it to the point that it was like, not leaving the house tomorrow. Of course I can have another one. Or like, I just let myself. Like, I just went to the dermatologist and was like, give me like all the skin. Everything I gave myself a pass on basically the past 2 years. And it is like a hard correction of like, let's try to get back to some sort of normalcy because we weren't just in survival mode.
Yeah, it did something to our psyche.
I was.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people aren't talking about it that much. I mean, there's so many effects from COVID, right? I feel like this is one of those things that we're going to look back. We're going to have a documentary on Netflix or whatever services back then here in like 20 years, and they're going to have done studies on like the actual social effects and whatever. We're going to have all this data, and we're going to look back and be like, wow, like we were idiots back there for not paying attention to this. Like, look how screwed up this all got.
Absolutely.
And nobody realized it at the time.
I think like people lost like almost their social skills, right? Like people lost their social skills, like how to handle themselves, that kind of stuff. Luckily, I'm a weird gamer kid, so I'm used to talking to people on the internet all day. So yeah, that's what trading's all about.
So, Bofo, I'm just curious because of my own thing with alcohol, but you have not drinking on your habit thing.
Yeah, I do drink. I do less now that I'm older because my hangovers are just awful. Like I joke that I get hungover before I get drunk now. And so for January, I did it totally dry. So my February is kind of fun going to a new month because you write new goals. So you don't necessarily have to take the same ones over. So for February, I'm not drinking during the week, except for Tuesdays.
Let's go.
I drink during the bowling league. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we had to get out and do something social again, man. Like
my aunt. Wait,
Me
really?
Too.
I actually love bowling.
I took bowling in college. That was my sport. I'm like,
I took aerobics in college.
Same.
But I think we're,
me too.
We're like
me too.
friends. I'm like discovering it.
All right. Hey, when do you guys want to go bowling?
I'll go whenever you want.
All right. I'm
Are you
in
actually
Tennessee. Let's do
are
it.
you nice? Like, are you really nice at bowling? Like, I'm like pretty average, but
I've had some good scores.
give me
good
some
for
good
like.
ones.
I've bowled in the 230s a couple times.
Oh my god.
I've been over 200. I'm not average over 200, but I'm
Very
regularly
nice.
over 200.
Very
Now-
nice. Yeah, I'm like a 150. If
That is
That's good, man. That's
now,
good.
in Tennessee, are you closer to Memphis, Nashville, or Knoxville?
Knoxville.
Cool. Did you go to the
Are you
University
familiar
of
with
Tennessee?
Tennessee? No, I did not. I'm an
Oh,
Auburn
huh.
guy. So that's my thing with Barn. Like Barn always tweets about Texas A&M,
yeah.
you know? So I always tweet him about. I'm a big SEC football guy. So
Cool.
yeah, I went to Auburn.
I don't hate you as much as I hate
Yeah.
Alabama, but my hate for
Well,
Alabama has
we all hate
lessened
Alabama.
some now that they didn't beat us again.
Hold on, someone's at my door. I'll be back.
I went to
Wait, what's
I'm
your-
from Georgia.
what's
I
your
went to
allegiance,
Georgia
Blayne?
whole-
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know what? I don't really like Georgia.
We accept
It's,
your dislike.
and you know why? But you know why? Because, and I hope I don't offend people by saying this, but I don't really care. Georgia fan base is just smarter than Alabama fan base, and so it's more annoying when they're good.
Yeah.
You know, like I have a lot of friends who are Georgia fans, and they're just more annoying when they're good.
Interesting. Well,
So-
it's about to get real annoying because we've been beaten down. Like now we're, champions. So
Yeah,
So-
I know. I know. It's tough right now for us Auburn folk, right? Like Georgia and Alabama. Like who do we even cheer for in the
Sure.
national championship?
but Georgia.
You know,
But
it's like our two biggest, but it's our two
yeah, but
biggest
you
rivals.
guys are doing
we hate
good
them
at
both.
basketball, right? Dan, I heard from Dan. You're doing good at basketball.
Yeah, we are right now. We did just lose the other night, but we are doing good. So
Cool.
happy
So,
about that.
you're near Knoxville. What kind of barbecue sauce is your favorite?
Wait, what?
This
We're-
is
we're
important.
not really a-
Ellis.
Barbecue.
Is this a southern thing?
Yeah. We're not really like a barbecue hub, but I definitely gravitate towards the
Oh, wait.
Carolina barbecue more than the Memphis. I mean, I like Memphis ribs, but like if you're gonna put a sauce on my pulled pork, I want vinegar based.
I agree. Have you been to
Wait, is
Rendezvous?
this a real thing?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been
Have
running.
you had the sausage and cheese plate?
No, I get ribs every time
Oh,
I
it's
go to
the
Rendezvous.
appetizer. Get the sausage. Get
Okay.
your ribs. I once had Rendezvous
No,
ribs shipped to Georgia.
Okay, have you been to Memphis a fair
Yeah,
amount?
I dated a guy for a while that went to
So you've been to Rayford's.
no,
You haven't been to Rayford's, that disco bar?
no. It's been years.
Oh my gosh, you haven't really been to Memphis then.
Where did he go? Oh, he went to Rhodes. He went to Rhodes. So we would go to Memphis.
Okay. Next time you go to Memphis, you got to go check out Rayford's.
I love Memphis.
Actually, you should just Google it. You should just Google
Right,
it.
right.
They only sell, it's this disco bar, and they only sell 40s.
Wait.
I love it. I love it already.
Oh my
That's
god.
awesome.
Yeah, it really is. There's no other place like it.
In high school, we would have 40 Fridays.
Nice.
Yeah,
You should bring that back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not drinking, so. But
Oh.
maybe
Drank
one
Four
day.
yeah.
Locos. That's what we drank in like middle school
Oof.
and high school and all that.
Well,
I don't drink
you're-
anymore, really.
Middle school.
Yeah. Yo,
You're
here-
so
you
much younger. Have you ever
want to hear a
had,
funny
well,
story?
you don't
about
even
middle
drink,
school?
Ellis. But have
Yeah, I
you ever
really
had a
don't
40?
drink. Yeah, I have had a 40. I drank
Okay.
one time we did Edward's 40s hands, and I drank 2 40s, and I was pretty wasted. So.
I bet you had to
Yikes.
pee a lot, too.
Oh yeah. You had to get your buddy to help you. So yeah, we did.
Oh.
That was more so like in college, but like nowadays, like I'm going to a party tomorrow, and like I'll have like 2 beers if that. It's just not my thing.
So you do drink a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. And like if I go to the club, depending on who I'm with, maybe we'll have like maybe a couple beers. But I don't drink liquor. That's one thing. Everyone thinks I'm like a crazy partier because like I like to mess with people on Twitter, but nah, that's not my thing. So my family doesn't drink. All my friends do. Like I go out and party, but I talk enough that if I drink, I talk even more. So people like me to not drink, so I don't talk as much. It's a true thing.
I actually think it's a good time to admit on the podcast. People have told me that I have to be very honest about my drinking story because apparently people are invested in it, which is fine. I'm not a role model on the drinking thing. At Christmas, I started trying to have like one glass of wine on like a special occasion, and then I transitioned to that into I'll have a glass of wine on Friday, and then I transitioned that into maybe I'll have 2 glasses of wine on Friday, and then I started feeling terrible on Saturdays. But I was sober for so long that I now know how amazing a Saturday can be sober. So now I'm back to just straight up sober life, but just if any of you were very, very invested on how long it's been since I drank, I did drink on Fridays in January. Just confession.
Have you ever done a gluten cleanse?
I was gluten-free for a while. I don't know if I did a cleanse, though.
Well, yeah, I just mean like a detox, like abstain from gluten for a while. Like the brain fog that comes with gluten is a real thing. Like if you have not had gluten for a while and then you like eat a piece of bread, I swear it feels like you just drank 2 beers.
Interesting.
I totally believe that.
It's crazy.
I do keto a lot, which is gluten-free. And I have some like issues with that diet in general, but like in principle, I believe in it. But that you have to be so strict with what you eat on that. And I find that like when I'm doing it perfectly, I am at like my most clear and most focused. And then if you sneak and you're like, I'm just going to have like this one little thing, it's not a small thing. Then you can really feel it.
Now, Bofo, do you like track your macros and stuff like that? Because you said you're into CrossFit.
Yeah, I do now. I messaged my girlfriend has a friend who's a bodybuilder, and I messaged her and I was like, hey, like how do I get lean again?
Yeah.
And she was like, well, tell me what you're eating. And so I like sent her my like basically current macros, and she's like, whoa, you need to do a bulk before you can cut, because like I wasn't eating enough. Even though it was like low carb, I wasn't going to change my composition without doing a bulk first. So now I'm in a bulk phase where I'm trying to gain 10 pounds and then I'll cut.
Okay.
So
you
yeah,
seem like a bulky
dude.
You know, you got like an 8-pack, 22-inch arms. You know what I'm saying?
No, man, I'm not very big. I'm like 175 pounds. I need to gain about 10 pounds.
What do you mean? It's shred season right now. Diet Coke, cigarettes, no food.
Hey,
sleep with the
February is
windows
not
open?
shred season. No.
What?
See, no, I'm gonna gain about 10 pounds for the next month or 2, and then I'll shred. Then I'll shred down for summer. Get that
January
summer bod.
1st is shred season. You don't eat any food. That's what we did in college. We would sleep with our windows open because we thought that if you shivered at night, it would make you have abs. Yeah.
These are tomorrow's leaders.
Yeah, I'm gonna go about my own plan.
It worked. I mean, I don't know if it worked because like we didn't have any money in college, so we were starving, or But yeah, I live with a bunch of like bodybuilder bros. I like to call them all the
Nice.
bro science you can imagine all at once.
Well,
Yeah, no, I just want to be healthy and in shape.
Fair enough.
seems very reasonable. Guys, this
Should be.
I'm
It's
going to
tough.
have to stop this, much to my chagrin. I'm just getting started. Like, you want to talk more about Tennessee? I could do that, or SEC football, or
Yeah.
tons of stuff. Like trading, I'm done. Pass on with the trading.
Yeah,
But I
right.
can talk to you guys for hours. I do have to feed my children, so I have to go. But I'm sad about it.
Yeah, Bofo, you got to come back on. I
Yeah.
feel like we have unfinished business.
Totally.
You're just an
I
interesting
would love
dude.
to come back on.
Yeah, I'd actually really love
would
to
love to
get
come back
you
on.
and Palmer on one episode together.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
just
the battle of the humble.
let you guys chat. We're obsessed with Palmer.
Yeah, I'd love to come back. Thanks for having me
Yeah.
on.
Absolutely.
Anytime. If you like trading, then you probably like the finer things in life, like really good wine. If you're a wine fan, you have to download Last Bottle Wine. They have an amazing selection. It's all at the cheapest available price you can find it on the internet. The customer service is amazing. And if you use the code PENNY10, you can get 10% off your order from now until May 1st. You guys have to try it out. Thank you so much to our producer Joel Edwards and Chesley Lowe for the banjo music.
By accessing this podcast, you acknowledge that the Penny Lane podcast makes no warranty, guarantee, or representation as to the accuracy or sufficiency of the information featured in this podcast. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. This podcast should not be considered professional or financial advice. Unless specifically stated otherwise, the Penny Lane podcast does not endorse, approve, recommend, or certify any information, product, process, service, or organization presented or mentioned in this podcast, and information from this podcast should not be referenced in any way to imply such approval or endorsement. The third-party materials or content of any third-party site referenced in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the opinions, standards, or policies of the Penny Lane podcast. The Penny Lane podcast assumes no responsibility or liability for the accuracy or completeness of the content contained in third-party materials or on third-party sites referenced in this podcast, or the compliance with applicable laws of such materials and/or links referenced herein.